sit on you.
No, then I'll get squashed.
Good morning, gentlemen. Good morning. This is a new profession for Matthew Hayden.
It's just nice to have Lane here, isn't it? You know, the ever cool between us. We're always fighting. And she's, what do you got there?
I've got the breakfast. Oh my God, he knows everything. Hajipa, I've got the breakfast of champions. Sunny Ji, good morning. Since you've walked in like a champion, and I'm assuming this is not a profession change because we need you in the broadcast box.
Well, you know, change is as good as a holiday, as they say.
Hajipa, this is an interesting change of profession. Aapko jalebi khana hai? Go ahead. Yeah, please go ahead. Breakfast of champions for you. Go ahead.
You want some? Yeah, this is the only sweet thing you're going to get in Indore.
Oh, them's the fighting words as per usual. But a little bit of sweetness. I'll take the little jab and the sweetness.
So what's happening in this test match, folks?
Well, Australia's got a better team for a start.
Okay.
I like Smith Cucumber's obviously a huge loss, and we're also, you know, really sorry for Pat and what he's had to go through over the last, few days as well. And we wish him and his family all the best. But most certainly, I think Australia is going to come back stronger in this test match.
So, hang on one second. Sunil Gavaskar's stand, Border Gavaskar trophies in the pocket, because it's retained, right? It's in your pocket. Win here, WTC final confirmed. So, there's lots to play for Team India.
Yes, not yet confirmed.
Yeah.
India has to win one out of the remaining 2 test matches. So, yes, there's plenty to play for. But I do believe that there's plenty to play for. But I do believe that, yes, Australia will probably have a little more balanced team. So the result will probably be the same. Just that it'll go on.
It might take a little longer.
Fourth attempt.
So smug. So smug.
Well, if you win 2 test matches, wouldn't you be smug?
Yeah.
Huh?
Yeah, and the series.
Yes, and the series.
And also, you win this series, and it's the 16th in a row at home.
Yep.
So, I mean, that's an incredible record. Australia's done it twice, I think.
Yes.
10 times, but now 15 on India. That's a huge result for India, and it just shows you the dominance as well. Even when you look through the stats, there hasn't been that many players that have changed. And when I think back to the great Australian sides, it was that consistency of play as well. You weren't looking down and searching for different names. You've got Jadeja, you've got Ravichandran Ashwin, you've got the Virat Kohlis, the Rohit Sharmas, the KL Rahuls. They've been there for ages, and I think that sort of consolidated approach means that India's efforts right through this phase, doesn't matter about the Test Championship, has led them to #1 status.
The beauty is the two of you are enjoying your Power Pie breakfast. With Matthew Hayden here, I have no work to do because he said all the numbers, all the stats, all the introductions, and we leave you to get the show on the road. Feel that a whitewash is possible, most definitely so. In fact, this is an Indian team that has kind of emulated the kind of dominance, the ruthlessness that their opposition was once known for. So yes, you can try and get numero uno across all formats, but the priority for Rohit Sharma's army is that WTC berth. Good morning. Once again, gentlemen, our fan pulse is overwhelming, Sunny Ji, when it comes to inflicting a whitewash on this Australian side. Over 90% believe that. What does the great Sunny Ji believe?
I do believe that as well. Though I also believe that the Australians will come back harder. I think the inclusion of Mitchell Starc and Cameron Green will give the...
There's been confusion in personnel at times. There's been perhaps confusion in the shot to play. yours is a generation that honestly scarred ours. We were scared of watching your Australian side perform at home, overseas. So when you see a performance like this, I mean, how do you rate it all over the years? I mean, what do you personally feel when you see this kind of performance?
I suppose you go back to the clip. It's now just nailing those simple little game plans and having a lot of fight, bringing the fight. You know you're going to get it. And that's India, because you guys are also a great team. I mean, this is just a record-breaking team. No other side, if they win this series, which they're most likely going to, or certainly retain it, that means they're going to go 16 in a row at home. Series. That's a phenomenal record. That's a force to reckon with.
#1 side, have they shown you enough of a fight? Because they may not be the #1 side after this. India might be the #1
No,
side.
they haven't. I think more importantly, they haven't shown the application. Because in Test cricket, in the second Test, they went the opposite way. The second Test, they went way too aggressive. Now, that's not the way. You've got to find the medium. I think they need to, if I might say, they need to be like crouching tigers when you're playing spin bowling. By that I mean crouching tigers, you're crouching like this. You give yourself on slow pitches a better chance to be able to, play the ball. If you're standing up like a giraffe, like you do in Australia, yes, you're standing up like a giraffe, you're never going to be able to go down and smother the ball. So I think that is one small technical change you've got to make. Even with the Indian batters, the Indian batters who are getting into trouble are all standing like this. You've got to bend just that little bit. Like I said, crouching tiger, because like a tiger you're wanting to pounce, you give yourself a better chance.
Did Sonny G just call me a giraffe then?
Probably hate us.
Listen, that was my takeaway from that. There wasn't a crouching tiger. I was suddenly just giraffes are quite cute though, really, aren't they?
I mean, we've done it, okay? Tigers, giraffes, mongoose, okay? We've done it. We're bringing out all the animals out for you. And why not? Just what Sunny G said is what the captain, Rohit Sharma, has been doing in the nets. That's why it looks like Rohit Sharma has been batting on a different pitch in this series. There's clarity and thought for Team India. Only question is which other opener will play. Let's have a look at what Team India did in the nets.
In their favour.
Speaking of fight, I mean, they say fast bowlers hunt in pairs. Indian spinning all-rounders hunt in pairs. 88 innings, 450 wickets between Ashwin and Jadeja. We know they're handy with a bat. It's a duo that is scary to watch. That's why the crowd is already gathered here in the morning as we await the toss with both captains walking out. Rohit Sharma
and decided to bat first.
Thank you so much for that. So 2 changes for either side here. Sanjay Manjrekar also joins us in Cricket Live. So, I mean, as expected, Shubman Gill has come in. Indian openers averaging just about 32. Haven't seen a century stand since 20.
Is a pretty good bowler to have.
Well, okay, so not batting first. There's a change now. But all eyes on Mitchell Starc, obviously, in what Australian bowlers can provide them.
Yeah, absolutely. And look, Pat Cummins being away, and as I said before, we all, and Sharma said it himself, a very dry wicket where first innings runs are an absolute premium. So both sides have got to consider that. It hasn't been a batting paradise whatsoever.
The predictions are rolling out even before asking. They're so well trained, these analysts.
Yeah, he's right. I mean, when you look at this pitch, what I've realized after watching the pitches over the last few years, what's different about the Indian pitches? They start looking like a day 4 pitch on day 1.
Morning sun is like a lunch session sun. So there is a bit of a difference as well as far as these conditions are concerned. India have won that toss. They've retained the trophy. We know that it's staying home. But in these last couple of years, this coveted trophy, well, she's done a lot of travelling. It's brilliant to hear it from these analysts. So much of this game is psychological. That win for India in Australia, conquering the final frontier. Psychologically, the dominance has shifted in this generation. How do Australia get it back? It has, Sanjay.
There's
has shifted.
Yeah, keep my eye on you.
Let's see what he has to say. Don't worry, we're in it too.
Of it is about application. You look at the Australian wickets, 40 of them, 32 fall into spin, 21 bowled to LBW. So the Indian batters on these tricky pitches, Sanjay, give us a live game plan. I mean, what has their application been?
Well, Australia overdid the sweep shot, which is something everyone knows. But 3 great examples.
We saw in Delhi not playing across the line.
Rohit Sharma looks like he's batting on a different wicket, though, from Nagpur to now.
Now, he is not a great example in the sense that he's a very difficult example to follow because as well.
I mean, it's a tough one. How do you play against on turning pitches in spin? They say use your footwork. Australia were caught in the deep. They said use a sweep shot. Australia's downfall was the sweep shot. Our analysts have said that the day 1 morning pitch looks like a day 3 one. Deep Das Gupta gets us a live update.
Ashwin to exploit as well.
Thank you so much for that, Deep. Really, Australia have been awaiting the return of Mitchell Starc because it does supplement Nathan Lyon. Remember, with the bat also, average is just about 33. Let's hear how geared up he is.
So what's the thought process of your time, and have a great game?
Thanks very much.
So the game plan, what would the game plan for Mitchell Starc be against a very assured captain in Rohit Sharma and a new partner, well, in a sense, new partner in this series that he has in Shubman Gill?
I think Mitchell Starc, though, want to try and swing the ball. I mean, in reality, that's what he has to do. The new ball.
Quickly on the matchup, I think there's one very interesting thing to look at is Mitchell Starc to Shubman Gill. Shubman Gill has a slightly kind of lots to cash in on.
Lots to ponder for Sanjay Manjrekar. We'll leave him time to ponder that. But I mean, look, we haven't seen a century stand from Indian openers since December. Cricket Live with Sunny G and Matthew Hayden. I mean, what can you say in this series but spin your opposition into submission? I mean, 7 wickets down already.
Yes, so it's not going to be easy for the Australians when they come out to bat, particularly with the scars of the first two test matches, pretty.
Sunny Ji, we've spoken in our build-up as well so much about application to spin and spinners, particularly from a batsman's perspective. Now, it hasn't been easy. 7 wickets down. Is it only going to get harder? What would you do with the application when you walk out here as a batter?
It's on pitches like this.
It's difficult. A lot of you are walking away saying that, 100 might be a great score here. But we'll talk about that later, because one of the battles we anticipated with the return of Mitchell Starc was that of someone like Rohit Sharma, the captain who's in prime form. And that little milli battle, it gave us everything we wanted to see in this series.
Yeah, I mean, he's such a key player.
Australia's perspective is just on the reviews, the decision-making on the reviews. And yet again, it seems to have haunted them in this session, Sunny Ji.
But what happens is it's very difficult. Striking outside the line of the off stump, and it could be umpire's call, in which case they don't lose the review. Also, because at that stage, it was important to get that man back in the pavilion. He was shaping well, he was hitting well, he looked dangerous. So yes, sometimes you take a chance. So yes, I think it's so much a matter of, obviously your wicketkeeper comes in and your bowler. Bowlers will want a review because it's a wicket for them. Bowlers will generally want a review, but you want a wicket-keeper who is able to judge, and then of course maybe somebody at forward short leg or when the spinners are bowling to tell you the height at which the ball has hit. Has it hit above the pads? So it could be going over the stump because of the fact that the bowlers give a bit of air.
Well, it didn't prove to be too much waiting for Australia. Have a look at Attenborough's safe hands, particularly the dismissal of Captain Rohit Sharma, just in terms of the application, because
Cricket.
Sometimes you don't really have the time. I'm going to mention Kunuman again because called up in this series, very nascent in your test career. You get conditions like this, and then very few, however, would want to face Nathan Lyon in these conditions, most wickets by an overseas. I mean, tremendous experience. Yeah. Both he and Ashwin are actually chasing Anil Kumble's record of. Speaking of someone who hasn't been too much pressure as a batter, if you just look at the last couple of innings for Ravindra Jadeja, has been averaging close to 60 at home. So today, what would he be thinking?
Lofted a drive on the front foot. But the back foot drive, because the ball stopped, it went straight to him. Because the batter is looking to play as straight as possible. And that is where Jadeja got out. I think it was just one of those things. But he will be saying to himself, his fingers will be itching.
No, won't they? Mine are even itching. I'm not even playing.
Go. Both of you gentlemen, why not? Bad up. One of the interesting things was just watching Virat Kohli has been working so hard on trying to tackle spin as application. We've seen it.
The bat used to be behind, earlier on, the bat used to be behind that back leg. So even when he stood up, the back lift was always like this.
Inside of the ball where I like to play. Virat Kohli likes to play the ball to the onside. He likes to get that shape going in there. So his scoring zones are pretty much from mid-wicket right around to fine leg that way. And that's sort of sets him up for being Virat Kohli. That's what we know that works for him. But as Sonny said, I think it's really, really important just to make the little adjustments. And those little adjustments can make a big difference, especially when you're not quite in the form of your life.
And where the ball is doing a little bit.
How fortunate are we to get this sort of assessment from the icons of the game? That's what we can promise you here on MasterCard Cricket Live. But for Team India, yes, they may have lost 7 wickets, but they feel they've applied themselves a little bit overall in this series, having retained that coveted trophy. It has been a period of dominance for India in this prestigious trophy. There's been a shift in era without a doubt when it comes to dominance. You look at the dominance that India have had in this fixture, the prestigious trophy that it is, because we all want to play. I mean, over the years, Australia was a side that intimidated. We learned lessons. You wanted to see a fight in this fixture. In that first session, Sunny Ji, have you seen the fight you want to see from Australia?
Yes. Also, I think there's been a difference in terms of the strategy. For example, bringing a spinner on in the...
Batting has not been easy. It hasn't been prime conditions for batting so far in what we've seen in the morning session. But we'll speak about batters who will apply themselves and these superstars of the future, the incredible future that we have. We'll talk about that when we return. 109. And just in reply to that, Australia 71 for the loss of just one wicket. A big hello to Sanjay Manjrekar and Matthew Hayden, who's got a smile on his face, because we have been talking about the fight that we want to see in this very prestigious series that we've seen. And it wasn't just the fight. We've spoken, Sanjay, about application. We've also spoken about translating pressure back, and you feel that Australia have done that?
Yeah, and I was asking Kartik about it on commentary as well, just the role that pressure mounts on spin bowling unit when you've got really spin.
Sanjay, one of the interesting ways that we've seen Australian batters do that really is just keep the strike rotating. So it's put that pressure on Ashwin and Jadeja. What do you feel they have done a little differently or could have done in the way that they bowled a little difference in their deliveries?
They've had to face two extreme approaches from Australia.
It's interesting because is it the eagerness that Sanjay just spoke about, or is it the confusion over how this pitch will behave that led to India going for those reviews and not going their way?
40 wickets taken easily in this test match, so there's going to be plenty of opportunities coming.
You know, for me, this is a much deeper issue. It's not just DRS that India have lost to. Australia lost 3 in the last match. In the first 25, India have lost 2. It's a much deeper issue where you're fantastic bowlers, but the review is very excitable.
The CEO of our show here is Sanjay Manjrekar. On that note, let's remind you what's happened so far in our Maruti Suzuki top stories.
Resting 20 minutes at the crease.
Refer back to the morning, India with the bat, a nice little flourish from Umesh Yadav towards the end there. But now that you had a chance, Haydos and Sanjay, to see both the teams spend a little bit of time out in the middle, now how do you go back to the morning with the bat in India?
I think there's some forgettable shots, there's no doubt about it, Rohan.
That Haydos is talking about spotter.
Well, it was interesting in our lunch show to have you and Sunny G just kind of assimilate what was Virat Kohli's manner of dismissal. But forget the dismissal for a second, the way that he batted through the innings. Are we seeing it carry forward, that kind of form that he kind of built in Delhi? Are we seeing him carry it forward?
We start having these conversations.
Sanjay, in reply to India's 109, Australia now 71 for 1. Khawaja and Labuschagne, who in the WTC cycle has been Australia's best batter. Now, how do they consolidate and translate and convert as Haydos wants to see them?
More of the same. It may have come a little bit later than you would want. In the first test match, it brings 2. But here it might bring 3, who knows?
Well, I mean, I was just peeping at the Indian dressing room because you can almost imagine seeing Ravichandran, Ashwin and Jadeja just having a bit of a chat with you. I'll say, okay, let's game on. Let's make something work out for us now.
Yeah, absolutely. Like they've got to reverse the way that Australia are thinking right now, which is, I have to make an impact so that Australia do not win a 3rd session in a row. Because let's face it, this test match isn't going into the 4th day. So there's not that many sessions to play with. That's how serious this is. This is a moment by moment game. And so for those 2 spinners, they really need to work hard.
In 20 seconds, what did you need to see from the spinners?
Just simple cricket, keep hitting the areas. One review is bound to go your way, and a couple of decisions here and there, and I think India should be fine, but not overthink, not overreact.
They always say keep it simple, but there is so much toughness in simplicity. But at the end of the day, that's what you'd expect to see. 2 sessions have certainly gone Australia's way. Can Team India look to bound back in what is only day 1 here? Final session that we'll see you later on in the day and MasterCard Cricket Live to wrap up the day. For now, though, I hand you over back to action as Team India are already out and waiting. Fighting a day to 156 for 447 runs ahead. That's how we say hi to you here on MasterCard Cricket Live. Just that little flourish at the end by Ravindra Jadeja, Matthew Hayden, Sunny G joining us. The fight. We've spoken about the fight. We spoke about the fight in our lunch show. But now when you reflect back on how the day has gone, Australia 47 runs ahead.
Well, they are definitely ahead. No question. It's a good lead. 47 is a...
Well, I was going to ask Matthew Hayden as Matthew Kuhneman joins us on the show here on Cricket Live. Congratulations for the day that you've just had. I was going to ask Haydos actually if the day belonged to this man here and the Aussie spinners, or it belonged to the batters. I mean, you look at our Farm Easy top deliveries and you look at what he's achieved on your very nascent test career. I'm pretty sure you're feeling
this guy.
Just talk to me a little bit about the planning, because obviously, you're going to face some prime batters. Rohit Sharma, the way that he's batted in the series as well. Talk me through how you had plotted for that.
This was once again Nathan Lyon has been fantastic for me. He just said pull the sleeves up and get in the contest.
It's day one, so we won't get too ahead of ourselves. But take us back a few days, couple of weeks. How surreal has this experience been flying in, making your debut, taking on, number one test side versus number two in a high-profile series. Have you been able to take it in, process it at all?
Oh, not really. It's a bit of a whirlwind. I'm sort of pinching myself every night before I go to bed. But it was pretty special. So Dad sort of got here today, and that was really cool. That aside and actually going out and performing.
Very well bowled today, and thank you so much for taking out the time to join us as well. It's been a
Thank
great day
Thanks,
of five for the man here, and as we leave you to your team as well, we'll just have a look at the experienced one when you talk about someone like Nathan Lyon, now Sunny G, who has been the most successful visiting overseas bowler.
Slip comes into play. You can get the batsman looking to drive through the covers, get him bowled through the gate, or even trying to drive through the covers. Cotton ball comes into play. So all those other avenues open up. But then I suppose they've talked about it, decided, and they think that's the way to go.
You look at it as a thumbs up to Fani moment. Hey, Ross, later in your career, or later in his career, Nathan.
In the group is massive now, especially as he reaches the end of his career.
129 wickets for him, the most successful visiting overseas bowler, and of course both him and Ashwin are chasing Anand Kumble to get the most number of wickets in this tie. But very interestingly, early in the day, if you had missed it, we had a chance to talk to Sunny G about Virat Kohli looking so short, but also the dismissal from Virat Kohli today. I can get the bat in for you, Sunny G, if you'd like to take us through it, as well as what could be different, because fallen yet again to Todd Murphy.
Well, I was just thinking, and I could be wrong here, but when he generally used to stand with his bat. He used to stand with his bat behind the right foot, which meant that he put the bat down as he does otherwise, and play from there.
Absolutely, when you speak of it in terms of that application, because when you come down to the Indian wickets today, we asked you earlier whether it was application, shot selection, or it was just the nature of the pitch.
Well, you've seen already, Australia now is making a decent go of it. And that's simply because they've stuck to their methods. See, it's very easy to start moving away from methods and trying to invent different things within your game. It just doesn't work. In T20 cricket, you can get away with it.
Absolutely.
And there's a great addiction as well in the modern player for the boundaries. There's a thirst to score runs in boundaries. But sometimes when the conditions like this are extremely tough, a one can hurt you as much as what a boundary can. You scored 2 or 3 runs. Australia's run rate has been well into the threes. And they've done it not by hitting boundaries, they've done it by just rotating strike, putting pressure on opposition, allowing yourself to absorb pressure and take on the ball. It's like death by 1,000 nicks as opposed to just one big slap.
Is that what we saw replicated from Khwaja and Labuschagne today? 92 runs stand, rotating the strike well. The lines were off a little bit from the Indian bowlers as well, just replicating a little bit of that pressure.
Also not playing
Idiot that, Sonny.
Well, these bats are a little heavy for me.
Khwaja particularly to sweep or not to sweep. That's now 2 half centuries from the man looking very assured. He looked assured in Delhi, replicated it forward.
Yeah.
That half century, is it one that is worth triple figures? Would you rate it like that?
Yeah, absolutely. When you look at the context of this match, and also just the way, Mayanti, that he went about it, so much panic, but there was nothing but just a confidence and an assurity. In particular, the way that he approached his innings, very soft hands. You heard the commentators all talking about it today. Total control, great discipline. It really wasn't until Jadoo came over the wicket, started to toss outside the eye line of Usman Khawaja, that he looked slightly uncomfortable. So that'll be a learning for them in the second innings as well. That's when he started to get across his crease and expose his leg stump a bit, and then he played those 2 sweep shots. One he got out to, and one hit him in his left shoulder. So lots to be very confident of Usman Khawaja's performance today.
You use the word panic, and when you look at India early on in the referrals with the DRS, was there any panic at all when you were
to be there, I think, as this series wears on for India?
But that little saga between Jadeja and Labuschagne was actually very interesting if you think about it in the context of things. A little bit of fortune.
The popping crease.
Exactly.
Listen, there's plenty to talk about. It's been a pretty action-packed day one if you think about it. From that note, we'll take a breather here on MasterCard Cricket Live. We'll just look ahead to what we can expect tomorrow when we return. Lead of 47 towards Australia. When we return tomorrow morning, it would be Hanscom out there along with Cameron Green. So, Sunny G, what's the plan for India tomorrow morning?
Well, try and get the remaining wickets as early as possible. Don't concede a lead of more than another 30-40 runs. To get a lead of, even this is a pretty handy lead. To get another 40-50 or maybe anything more, they will win this game.
How do you expect the pitch to play out tomorrow? Because you said it's day 3 today. And we've managed to have Australia actually put on a bit of a score.
Yeah, so it's going to pay out like day 4. That's the obvious answer, isn't it? 7 wickets in hand. You know, for mine, 6 wickets in hand. For mine, it's really, really important that every run counts. You know, that first session, Australia was able to capitalise. Hopefully, that's what happens tomorrow.
The template continues. It is day 2, not day 4. Don't get confused by all the numbers that we're throwing out there. Gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us, for keeping us company. On the day, we will see you tomorrow on MasterCard Cricket Live, 9 a.m. Get your breakfast on with us. See you then.